For most video games, doing everything gives you 100% completion. That's what 100% means, 100 out of 100. But sometimes, particularly in 90s platformers, the percentage goes higher than 100, because math is hard. Crash Bandicoot 3 Warped was the first game in the Crash series to do this, with a maximum possible percentage of 105%, assuming you didn't use the extra item glitch. But what if I told you it could go even higher? The Japanese version of Crash 3 had support for the PocketStation, a Japan-exclusive peripheral that was both a personal digital assistant and a PS1 memory card. Not only could you use it to store save data, but you could also download exclusive apps onto the device by using compatible PS1 games. In Crash 3's case, you got Dokodemo Kurasshu-Kun, or Crash Anywhere, a virtual pet and minigame compilation where you could collect photos by completing certain tasks. Collecting photos in Crash Anywhere would increase the percentage on your Crash 3 save file, with the full album being worth 5%. Combine this with the 25 crystals, 45 gems, 30 gold relics, and 5 bosses you would normally get, and you have a maximum possible percentage of 110%. Today I'm going to show you how you can achieve this for yourself. In order to get 110%, you will need the following: an NTSC-J, PS1, PS2, or PS3 console, a physical copy of the Japanese version of Crash Bandicoot 3, a PocketStation, and memory card save data for the Japanese versions of the entire Crash trilogy. If you're using a PS3, you'll also need a memory card USB adapter. The save data can be copied to the PocketStation from any other memory card, but if you don't have that, you'll need to make the files yourself using their respective game disks. Crash 2 and 3 both let you save as soon as you enter the warp room for the first time, while Crash 1 requires you to either collect a gem or finish a bonus round before you can save. You can do the former as early as Insanity Beach, and the latter as early as Jungle Rollers. I also recommend that your PocketStation not have any other save data on it. Crash Anywhere takes up 12 of the 15 blocks of memory on the device, and the Crash Trilogy save files take up 1 block each. If you don't want to use an actual PocketStation, you can alternatively use a PS Vita or PS TV with a Japanese PlayStation Network account. This allows you to digitally purchase the Japanese versions of the Crash Trilogy, as well as a free PocketStation app if you have a PS Plus subscription. The PocketStation can be accessed by pressing the PS button and selecting its icon. Keep in mind that each game has its own set of virtual memory cards, so you'll need to import the save files from Crash 1 and 2 using the memory card utility. Insert the PocketStation into memory card slot 1 of your console and boot up Crash 3. On the title screen, in addition to the new game and load game options, there's a third option called Extras. Selecting it will take you to this screen where you can view the progress of your Crash 3 save files and time trial records for each level. Here you will see 4 options: PocketStation, How to Play, Funny Movies, and Quit. Selecting PocketStation will take you to this screen with 4 more options. The first option is New Download, which is used to install Crash Anywhere onto the PocketStation. If you already had Crash Anywhere installed, this will wipe all save data related to the game. Select New Download and choose Hi at every prompt to install the game. It will take about 15 seconds to install, so make sure you don't remove the PocketStation while the red light is flashing or while the PocketStation screen says download. Once you download the game, you can copy it to another memory card for backup purposes. However, when you first download the game, it'll take note of your PocketStation's unique ID number. If that number doesn't match, you won't get the extra percentage. Once the game is finished installing, you can choose the second option, Dance Selection. This is used to decide which level of the dancing minigame is installed on the PocketStation. Only one dance can be installed at a time, but swapping dances will not affect your save data. Dance 1 is installed by default and is the only one available at first, but the rest can be unlocked by progressing through Crash 3. Dance 2 is unlocked by collecting any gem or relic. Dance 3 is unlocked with the crystal from Hog Ride. Dance 4 with any crystal from Warp Room 3. Dance 5 with the Bye Bye Blimps crystal. And Dance 6 with the Orange Asphalt crystal. Dance 7 is unlocked by unlocking all the fake Crash cameos, which in this version are tied to your Crash Anywhere save data. More on that later. The third option on the menu is Anniversary Registration. where you can register up to 10 anniversaries that the game will celebrate. For each anniversary, you can set the date, occasion, and a short message. The first anniversary slot is always set to New Year's Day by default, but you can still change it if you want to. Once you've finished setting everything up, remove the PocketStation and press left or right to scroll to the Crash Anywhere icon, then press enter to start it. If you ever want to stop playing and return to the PocketStation menu, you can either insert it into a console that's turned on, or just hold enter until the menu pops up, then choose exit. The main mode of Crash Anywhere is a virtual pet game, with Crash as the pet. Unlike most virtual pets, Crash's care is entirely self-sustained, and his behavior will change every few minutes based on the PocketStation's clock. Whenever you see the camera icon in the bottom right corner, you can press enter to take a photo of whatever action Crash is doing, which will then be added to the album. Some actions have multiple possible photos. For example, talking on the phone can unlock photo 18 or photo 19. You can also toggle the clock on or off by pressing left and return to the main menu by pressing down. Crash's specific schedule varies depending on the specific day on the calendar, but there are some elements that are consistent from week to week. From Monday to Friday, he wakes up at 7 AM and brushes his fur, eats breakfast at 8 AM, does chores at 11 AM, takes a nap at 1 PM, attends school at 2 PM, exercises at 3 PM, does recreational activities at 5 PM, has dinner at 6 PM, takes a bath at 7 PM, reads manga or watches TV at 8 PM, gets into bed at 10 PM, and sleeps until 7 AM the next day, with a guaranteed nightmare dream sequence at 2 AM. On weekends, as well as on Japanese public holidays like Children's Day on May 5th, he sleeps in until 9 AM, has the day off from school, delays his nap to 2 PM, and stays up until 11 PM. The only exception to this schedule is on registered anniversaries, where Crash will celebrate for the entire 24 hours and cannot give you any photos. There are also 2 photos of fake Crash that are available every day at noon and midnight, but only if your PocketStation has saved data for Crash 1 and Crash 2 respectively. Collecting both of these photos will unlock the fake Crash cameos in Crash 3, along with Dance 7. If you want consistent results for the photos, I recommend setting your PocketStation's calendar to January 1999, to which it will default if the battery is removed or depleted. To change the time, go to the PocketStation menu, press enter to show the calendar, and hold up until the numbers start flashing. Use left and right to scroll between the values for year, month, day, hour, and minute, and press up and down to change each one. Once you have the desired date and time, press enter to confirm it. Keep in mind, the PocketStation uses the Japanese date format and displays the clock in 24-hour time. A more detailed breakdown of every possible action and every possible photo on every possible day can be found via the link in the description. On the main menu, you can press left or right to scroll between the different minigames and options, or press up to return to the virtual pet. The options are, from left to right, Dancing Anywhere, Rolling Anywhere, 8 Anywhere, Album Anywhere, and Aku Aku Anywhere. Album Anywhere is where you can view the photos you've obtained, as well as trade photos with other PocketStations via the infrared port. Aku Aku Anywhere is where you can view your Crash 3 save file data, including time trial records for every level, and Aku Aku hints. Dancing Anywhere is a rhythm game where you dance to the music. All you have to do is press enter whenever the Wumpa fruit overlaps with the icon in the bottom left corner to score points. The better your timing, the more points you earn. If you see an arrow, you can hold the corresponding direction as you press enter to get even more points. But if you miss too many in a row, it's game over. If you play the song all the way to the end, you'll get a photo. If you play the song a second time and get a high enough score by the halfway point, you'll get unique visuals, unlocking a second photo once you finish the song. And if you beat the high score at the end, you'll also get an extra life in your Crash 3 save file. Again, only one level can be stored at a time, and you'll need the Crash 3 disc to change them. Collecting all 12 photos from dances 1 through 6 will give you an extra 1% on your save file. Getting both photos from Dance 7, which count towards the fake Crash collection, will add another 1%. Rolling Anywhere is a minigame that mimics the classic Boulder Chase levels. Crash runs forward automatically, you can press left and right to change lanes, and enter to jump over pits. There are several moments where the path splits in two. Which path you take depends on how many Wumpa Fruit you have at each checkpoint, with more Wumpa sending you north and less Wumpa sending you south. There are 5 possible endings to reach, each with a different photo waiting for you. Collecting all 5 gives you 1% on your save file. You'll also get an extra life every time you reach any ending. Finally, 8 Anywhere is a slide puzzle minigame, like you see in the Finding Nemo video game. Use the directional buttons to slide the tiles around and unscramble the picture. You can also press enter to view the original image as reference. If you press up on this screen, you'll be given the option to quit back to the main menu. Once you finish the picture, you'll get a photo of it in your album. There are 6 photos to collect, and getting all of them adds 1% to your save file. The first 3 puzzles are 3x3, and the last 3 are 4x4. Once you have all the photos from this minigame, you can play it with any photo from your album in either 3x3, 4x4, or 5x5 format. Thankfully, this is just for fun and is not required for 110%. The last 1% comes from completing the full album, which requires all 90 photos. If you're missing any, you can trade for them with a second PocketStation using infrared. To trade, go to Album Anywhere on both PocketStations and have them point towards each other. Have the recipient press enter on any photo and press down, while the sender highlights the desired photo and presses enter, then up. Each photo can only exist on one PocketStation at a time, leaving behind a negative on the sender's PocketStation. But as long as you have at least a negative in the album, it still counts toward the percentage. Once you have the full album, it's time to redeem the extra 5%. The percentage from the PocketStation will be applied to all save files when approaching the load save screen if you have played Crash Anywhere at least once since you last saved. Once you load a file and then save over it, the percentage is applied permanently. Note that the percentage will never show above 99% unless you have Cortex-2 unlocked, which requires 42 gems and 28 relics, excluding Hot Cocoa and Egapus Rex. There are other side effects from the PocketStation as well. Playing Crash Anywhere at least once will make Fake Crash appear in Toad Village, and collecting photos 89 and 90 will make him appear in Makin' Waves and Hog Ride respectively. You may need to load your save file to actually see him though. Just having a PocketStation inserted will also change the color of Crash's yo-yo in his idle animation. There are 8 possible colors, and which one you get is based on your PocketStation's ID number. If you have any further questions about this, feel free to put them in the comments below. That's all for now, and I will see you down under.